Would you like to know how to make a Christmas tree out of cookie cutters that's edible? So scrumptious. Come along and I'll show you how to do it. Here are the supplies we're going to use today. Now I'm tripling this recipe. So in the description below I'm going to do it as a single recipe, but this is what I'm using today because I'm making Christmas trees. So we need 1.5 cups of butter, 3 eggs, and I want them at room temperature. Now I'm trying another vanilla because you guys know I left my vanilla in Wyoming. The first one was a horrible vanilla. So this is Spice Island's pure vanilla extract. No corn syrup added. Now why would you have corn syrup added? That's a question for me. But we need 3 teaspoons of that. We're going to use 3 cups of sugar, 8 1/4 cup of flour. Now in this recipe I use kosher salt, and I need 3/4 teaspoon of that kosher salt. The baking powder I need 4.5 teaspoons, and this recipe has sour cream. And for sour cream I need 1.5 cups of sour cream. Note, you have to use regular sour cream. Don't buy the light because the recipe will not be as good. The cookies will not be as good. So we put the butter and the sugar in, and now I'm going to add the 3 teaspoons of vanilla. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm using a hand mixer because I'm in Arizona and I don't have my big mixer. Now I'm adding the 1.5 cups of sour cream. Remember, not light sour cream, regular full-bodied sour cream. And then I'm going to blend that, incorporate it into the cookie mix. Make sure that you're taking time to scrape down the sides. And look at how full and creamy that looks. We're going to add the salt, the baking soda, and the flour now. And this bowl is going to be really full because remember, we're tripling the recipe. I ended up dividing my batter into 2 bowls. With this little hand mixer, the flour was flying everywhere. So I divided it up, and I'm going to add the last of the flours into both of the bowls. And I'm actually going to incorporate the 2 bowls back together when I get them all mixed up. The 2 bowls are incorporated back into one. Now I'm going to divide it up, use some saran wrap, and probably divide it into 4 different sections. And put 3 of them in my refrigerator and 1 in my freezer so it gets cold faster, and that's the one I will use first. I laid the saran wrap out, and then I'm just going to take some of the dough. It's much easier to work with when it's colder. It's a little more firm. And this first one I'm going to put in the freezer just so it will be faster. And the other ones I'm going to put in the fridge. And then I'm just going to wrap it up. And it's ready to go in the freezer. Here are our 3 cookie doughs that are going in the fridge. We already put the one in the freezer, and that's the one I'm going to use first. And the refrigerator will give these plenty of time to get cold to make it easier to make the dough roll out. I turned the oven on to 375 degrees, and this has been in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes. And I'm just going to take it out. I do need to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto my little mat. I don't like to use a lot of flour. Now I'm actually going to break this in half and work one part at a time. And I like to kind of just flatten it out, making it a little round. Put it on. Now you don't want to leave this in the freezer too long, because what happens is it gets too cold and it's hard to work with. So 15-20 minutes is perfectly fine. And then these are some of our cookie cutters, and they're graduating sizes till they get big. Now the cookies will cook from about 6 minutes to 9 minutes. The bigger ones will take 9 minutes. The littler ones will take the 6 minutes. And I'm going to just start, and it's thick and heavy because it was in the freezer. And I want the dough to be between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch thick. Now if it starts to stick on your rolling pin, you need more flour. And I always like a little flour on the cookie dough. But we don't want to get this too thin. And we are not going to bake the small ones with the big ones, because what will happen is the small ones will get done and the big ones aren't even close to being done. And so I'm going to put them on the cookie sheet based on the thickness. Now see how that's between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch? That's exactly what I want. I'm going to make a couple extra of these little ones so that it stacks a little bit higher. And I also need one of the cookies, star cookies, to be on the top of the tree. If your cookie cutters are sticking, dip them in the flour too. Now of course the cookie sheet doesn't have any spray on it. And these ones are only going to be in there about 6 minutes. These are not going to brown. They should be white on the top center part. You might get a little browning on the very edges, but you don't really want them browned. Here's our first tray of cookies. There's 4 different sizes, and these are going to go in the oven for 6 minutes. As the cookie cutters get bigger, you're going to have less and less that you can do on one rollout. Our first batch is out of the oven. They've puffed up, but see, I don't have them browned at all. I don't really want them browned, even on the edges, and the center is never supposed to brown. But the sour cream cookies are not known to be browning cookies. These are the ingredients for our frosting. We need 2 sticks of butter, 4 cups of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 4 to 6 tablespoons of milk. You could use heavy cream. Now because I'm making a Christmas tree, I'm actually going to turn the frosting green. And then I bought this fun container of sprinkles. They have some snowflakes and glitter and bulbs. Fun things for the Christmas tree. We have our 4 cups of powdered sugar, 2 sticks of butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I put 4 of the tablespoons of milk. Now we may add a couple more. Now I have to tell you, I'm afraid, very afraid, because I am using the hand mixer. And powdered sugar in a hand mixer, oh, not a good combination. Especially this one, has a lot of power to it. And hopefully it won't go flying all over. After a lot of powdered sugar flying all over my stove and my counter and my apricots and my bananas, it has made a lovely frosting. I want this frosting green, so I'm going to use some green food coloring. Now you could have light green, you could have dark green. It's just going to depend on how many droplets you're going to put in there. I'm just guessing. If I want it darker, after I mix a little bit, I'll add some more. I'm okay with that color. I know a lot of people like it a lot darker, so it's more like an actual Christmas tree, but I like the light green. We're starting to decorate our tree. So I put the first cookie on my plate. You could use a glass plate, of course, or whatever you have, but I'm just using a paper plate. And another thing, you don't actually have to frost the entire cookie because they're going to be stacked on one another. But my mom always did. And I find that fun and interesting. And then the next one goes on, but you want to make it so that it goes like that. And it's a great way to tell if you have your frosting on your corners far enough. Now this frosting will set up and harden. So we have to do some of our fun, oops, sorry about the camera, sprinkles as we go. I'm gonna turn that over and dip it into the silver so it's a lot, and then I can just stand it up right there. One of the things we have to do today is pick our winner from last week's holiday candy series. It's our last of our series last week, and I always draw the week after. And this winner is not only going to win the Mounds candy bars that we made last week, they're also going to win the fudge and the candied pretzels because that winner never contacted me. So let's see who our winner is. Jay Bassett, you are our winner. And I just need your address and I will mail those out to you tomorrow. Congratulations! So fun. I'm so excited for you. I will ship those out tomorrow. And I hope you really enjoy those candies. It was a great series to do. It was really fun. This is a good addition to your holiday baking. They're scrumptious, they're cute on your table, and everybody just seems to love them. I hope my neighbors love them. You could drape licorice as garland. You could just do so many different things. But as always, like, subscribe, share with the world. I think I want to eat this top cookie. It's so good. But Joe hasn't even seen the Christmas trees yet. Oh, I don't know. I'm in a predicament. I'll see you next time. You'll never know if I ate the top of that cookie and replaced it. You'll never know.